Hi, I'm Grant. I'm the director of Grant Erskine Architects. This week I was keynoting at a Sana property meeting up in Bolton. Great meeting. If you're looking for a bit of property networking in the northwest of England, highly recommend it. And I spent an hour telling people about projects we'd done and how we added value and how the clients had made loads of money. And I was talking to Kathy, the organizer, afterwards, and she said, "So what do you actually do?" And I thought, well, I'm an architect. I thought I just told you what I did. But I hadn't really made it clear what does an architect do. And I suppose we're all very guilty of this, of not actually telling people what we do in our business. So I'm going to quickly run through what you should be doing with your architect to get the most value out of them. You can think of a project that falls into about 5 stages. Stage 1 is feasibility. It's pre-design phase, if you will. And what that is you will look at a project, your architect, will look at a project and give you an idea of what is feasible, what is possible. In a lot of cases, this is a 5-minute look based on a Rightmove listing or based on a estate agent's plan to sort of say, yes, this is the area and this is what I think is feasible. It'll be based on exit strategy. What do you want to achieve? Are you looking to sell the property? Are you looking to keep the property? Are you looking for rental yield? Are you looking for return on development? It often defines whether or not a project is worth doing, if that makes sense. In a lot of cases, we get them sent to us and I'll look at it and go, not possible, not worthwhile, not feasible. For example, it's going to cost you more to build those houses than you'll sell them for, so it's not worth doing. So once we have a sort of an idea together, we'll say to the client, look, this is what we think you can do, this is what we think it's going to cost, and this is what we think it'll sort of end up being. That lets the client make a very informed decision. So you should be speaking to your architect from day one, the minute you're looking at a project. In some cases, we have clients who take us around 5 or 6 projects in one day just to look at them all. And we'll go, yes, no, maybe, crap, don't touch it. So once we have that, we'll go to stage 2. And stage 2 is design phase, feasibility design. That is where we will go out and we will do a full survey of the building. One of me or my team will go and survey the building and put together a as found drawing. We can't really work off estate agents' plans for this because they don't survey them to enough detail. We'll measure every door, every pier, every opening. We'll measure the chimney breasts, the reveals. We'll measure everything, floor levels, we measure it all. This forms the basis of what the design will be. Once we have that detailed survey, we can then work out in detail what we can get into it accurately. We'll apply things like if it's an HMO, room sizes, or if it's a new build apartment scheme, the national framework room standards, size standards, for example, if it's a new build development of houses, the distances between windows and overlooking and densities, etc. We'll work that all out at stage 1. And we'll work with the client. What we'll do is we'll do 1 or 2 options, send it to the client and say, look, this is what we think is the best out of it. Have you any thoughts? And then they'll have some thoughts. They'll say, I like that bit, and I like that bit. I don't think that bit's great, but that's not what I was thinking of, etc. And we'll come together with one final proposal. And this sort of gets us to a point which is called design freeze. Now, design freeze is not that you can't change anything after here. It just means that once we do something, if you want to change, we're probably coming back to this point again. So it's always a thought that once you're past it, if you want to change anything, we're probably coming back to here. Stage 3 is planning. We're full service, so we will do it for you ultimately. So we'll put together the existing plans, the proposed plans, existing elevations, proposed elevations, site layout, location plan, design and access statement, bin storage, bike stores, and anything else that's required. If we require third-party input, so let's say tree surveys or bat surveys or traffic surveys, we'll bring them to the table for you. We submit about 90% of our own directly, but it's not to say that we don't work with planning consultants. It is actually a very good strategy in many cases to have a planning consultant, especially if it's a contentious job or it needs a certain strategy approach. So I'm a big fan of planning consultants. They add a lot of value in complex jobs. Don't need them for everything. No offense, guys. So we submit it into planning. One thing I say is we stop at this point. We don't do any more work because planning is never guaranteed. Now, I'm very good at getting it through planning, but I still won't guarantee it. And anybody who is guaranteeing it to you is misleading you. They'll tell you, oh, I'm great with the local planners and I know people and blah, 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 blah. It's bollocks. It's not true because I'm good at it and I still won't guarantee it. So we put a freeze on it. Now, if you're time sensitive and say you're on a bridge and you want to be ready to start at the date of planning decision, then that's your decision to make. But be aware that you'll be incurring fees you may never get the value out of, because ultimately, if the planners turn around and say no, you can't build it. So we say, we'll wait until we hear back from them. Let's assume it's 10, 11 weeks later, and planners come back to us and say, yes, it's approved. Stage 4 is building regulations. So we'll put together a full set of technical drawings that will show everything like ventilation, sewer runs, acoustics, plasterboard types, stud wall construction, room locations, layouts, everything. It's a full set of technical drawings that we have to adhere to, or technical standards we have to adhere to. We'll then send it. We'll also, if we need a structural engineer, we'll bring in a structural engineer. If we need any sort of M&E design, we'll bring in an M&E consultant. And we'll put together a full set of technical drawings. These form the basis of the construction drawings. We use a private company for building control approval. You can use the council. I'm not a huge fan of council. I don't think the service is that good. So I like to use a private company. This is always a yes. This is always a guaranteed yes. Because what we'll do is we'll submit the drawings. If they have any concerns with our approach and stuff, they will comment on them, send them back to us. We amend them, submit them again. It's a tick, you get it. And that's stage 3. Stage 4 is construction. We're old school in our service. There's not many architects that do this anymore, but we still do it. We will do the full contract administrator role. What that means is that we will take the building control drawings, we'll add on an extra level of information, and we will take them out to the market. We'll probably go out to anywhere between 10 and 30 builders and invite them to tender. We'll have an open day at the property, we'll show them around, we'll discuss any questions with them, we'll answer any questions, and we'll take in their tenders. We'll then work with you, with the client, to see who's the best for the job. Now, most times it's best price, but not in all cases, because sometimes, yes, it's best price, but they can't start for 6 months, whereas somebody who's a little bit more expensive can start in 6 weeks. Sometimes they're very, very keen on price, but actually their portfolio doesn't really highlight that they've got much experience in this sector. Sometimes they're a great price, but due diligence highlights that actually they've only been trading for 9 months and they're a high risk. So we'll pick a builder with you, we'll raise the contract. We like to use a JCT minor works form of contract. It's suitable for pretty much anything. There's no cap. It says minor works, but there's no cap on value. It's to do with complexity, and most builds aren't that complex. So we'll complete the minor works. We'll include things like liquidated damages, so if it runs late, you can charge the contractor. Retention sums. Every time we pay a valuation, you keep back 5%. We advise you on how much it is. Rectification periods, generally 6 months. We'll do architectural checks every week to 10 days. We'll do valuations about every fortnight or so. The valuations are quite key because it is a paid when done contract. So we ask the builder to give us a list of all the sections and all the prices beside it. And every couple of weeks, whenever he needs it, I'll go out and walk around with them and say, okay, foundations, 80% done, check. Concrete poured, 40% done, check. And then put a number in beside it, and that allows us to value the piece of work. So he knows exactly how much money he's going to get, and you know how much money you're spending on what it's assigned to. Because you'll get a spreadsheet saying, we've released 60% of the money for this, 40% of the money for that, 30% of the money for that, totals up down the bottom, and that's your number. Knock off 5% for your retention sum, keep that to the end. We'll also manage any variations and extensions of time. So if the builder puts in a variation, we'll check that it's a fair and reasonable variation. We'll advise if the price is right, and we will tell you whether it is correct or incorrect. We'll also negotiate it if we need to. We will do it the whole way through and do architect sign-off at the end. There's quite a few lenders are now starting to ask for an architect sign-off in construction. I think it's the CML, Community of Mortgage Lenders or something there, an architect sign-off. We can do that as well as part of it. We also give you a completion certificate of works done, and in essence hand over the completed job. The amount of work that we give back can be as much or as little as you want. So we've some overseas clients that want literally a decorated, carpeted property handed back ready for furniture packs. We don't do furniture packs. I suppose I could do it for you if it needs to be, but we don't. And then stage 5 ultimately is after completion. So there's a whole load of things that you need that a lot of people don't think to ask their architect for. So for example, transfer plans, deed plans, what else? Marketing data, visualizations, that sort of thing to help you put it all together. We help you with all that. So we in essence become, we often think about it, we become almost like your business partner. We joke about being on your board of directors, but we sit beside you from the very beginning, before you've even bought it, right through to after you're selling it. And we help you the whole way through. We'll bring anybody else to the table that we need as we go along. Let me think. Interior designer. If you want an interior designer, we'll bring an interior designer, etc., etc. And that's how we run a job. That's how you should be using your architect. Now, we understand that a lot of people don't want the full service. So of course, we'll do any part that's required. We generally won't do the contract admin if we haven't designed it. We don't like taking on somebody else's drawings because 9 times out of 10, they're not good. But we won't take on anybody else's drawings and do the contract admin. What we will do if you just want planning and building regs, blah, 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 blah. So you can pay as much or as little as you want, but the more you pay, the more value you get out. What we generally say is that we are making our clients money whilst we're on the job. It's as simple as that. So that's a brief overview of what an architect can give you and how you should be using an architect. You should be using them before you've even bought the property. And you should be using them after you've sold the property. And everything in between. If you have any questions, give me a shout. If anything's not clear, give me a shout. And yeah, follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to build our Instagram following. I don't know why, I just am. It makes me feel good. Talk to you soon. Bye.